On a recent Friday day off, I had a chance to drive around in the countryside a bit, and I happened to drive by this meadow, and I saw this flock of sheep there. Now, we don't have sheep in the backyard that often. That's not that common around here. But I'm told from my friends who farm a little bit that sheep don't enjoy a good reputation. They're thought not to be very smart. In fact, they'll follow anybody. They're easily led and they're easily frightened. Now, that's the story of the sheep we get if we listen closely to the story of the Good Shepherd, which seems so familiar to us. So many people know this gospel so well. In fact, there's so much that can be drawn from this gospel that we have each year with the fourth Sunday of Easter, we have a chance to get a different part of John's 10th chapter, which kind of picks up one particular idea, one particular facet of the life of the Good Shepherd. Each year we can hear that. So it's interesting because you get the sense that the sheep, let's say in this part of the gospel, the sheep are very discriminating. They will hear the shepherd's voice and they will turn to the shepherd for trust and for guidance. They'll follow the shepherd. What's the phrase? Accept no substitutes. Let's say, the gospel tells us about Jesus leading the sheep through the gate. They follow Jesus to a place of safety and security. The sheep feel fed, cared for. They're in a safe place. No thieves, no predators, but there's water and grass and a shepherd whose voice we recognize and trust. If we listen to our readings today, we hear Peter speaking in both readings today, and he's speaking very, very, very authoritatively. This is the same Peter who seems so timid. This is the Peter who told, let's say, people that he denied that he knew Christ 3 times on the night before he died. Instead, we have Peter speaking out very strongly. He's calling out to the whole house of Israel that Jesus is both Lord and Christ. And they say many hearts and souls were won over that day. This is the Peter of the Acts of the Apostles. This is following the experience of Pentecost. Peter is filled with the Spirit. He's alive in the Spirit who has given him words to say. The people now are trusting Peter's voice, his voice, and they're ready to follow him. But how did Peter get there? We know that Peter has feet of clay. We know that Peter is the one, again, as I said a moment ago, is the one who denied Christ on the night before he died. How did Peter come to know the shepherd's voice? Well, we know that Jesus reconciled with Peter. He invited Peter back into the flock. And we also know that Peter had a chance to hear and walk with Jesus so often. His voice was familiar to him. He knew the shepherd's voice because he heard it over and over again over the course of Jesus' public ministry, which is about 3 years. So how about us today? There are so many voices out there. A lot of them are pretty discordant voices too. They want to take you to different places, maybe places that in the heart you know you don't want to go. The sheep, however, know the shepherd's voice. A particular shepherd's voice they know. Peter knew Jesus' voice. He spent time with him. You can know the shepherd's voice too, by the way you spend time with him. And you're thinking, well, how can I spend time with Jesus? Well, there's a time you spend here. The time you spend in prayer and sharing in the sacraments. There's the time you spend listening to God's word, whether it's proclaimed here or maybe you're reading the scriptures at home. You have the chance to hear Jesus in prayer. And when you are involved in service to others, extending your love of God to love of neighbor, when you encounter your sister and brother, can you find Christ alive in them? In your service to others, you can find the shepherd's presence and the shepherd's voice. All these things we do, and we do this because, well, the shepherd knows us, trusts us to follow him. And we know that the shepherd will lead us, lead us to life, and to a life that we celebrate abundantly. May we give thanks and praise to God during this Easter journey that we have a chance to follow such a shepherd.